I have to say, I never thought that I would be watching a movie about Hamilton in Hamilton that was subtitled with Japanese dialogue. Whoa.
Yes.
Like seriously, I think I yelled in my car. Yes, and after I picked up my jaw, and, I wanted to ask you how did you end up putting that in there? I thought it was brilliant.
Well, maybe we should let's meet the cast that did that. Ed, you're one of the actors in that scene where you had to speak Japanese. Basically, I just asked Ed, "Hey, do you know Japanese?"
How'd
And then
that
he
go?
said no, so I wrote an entire scene in Japanese for him.
Thanks, Warren.
Do you speak Japanese, Warren?
No,
Do
Oh,
you
okay.
speak it? Yeah.
I think it's actually safe to say that all the Japanese people in this movie actually don't speak Japanese, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of like we joke amongst ourselves, but really, when you think about that idea and that concept, it's basically our language was taken out of our own childhoods because of the internment and because of after the internment, not wanting to be Japanese. We wanted our parents wanted us to be as Canadian as possible, so wouldn't get bullied or picked on. And I don't know what you remember about growing up, but like the Japanese in our house was BC slangy at best and sporadic.
You still got bullied and picked on.
I don't know if Ed did.
All the time, especially when my family.
Like, did
Uh,
your parents speak Japanese?
My parents spoke Japanese. They did it. I think they taught my eldest brother because he's the eldest son. And then by the time I came along, it was assimilation time. So the like Warren says, the main objective was 1963 was just let's not stand up, let's not stand out, let's not do the asparagus theory. So let's keep our heads down.
Hmm. Wow, wow. Yeah, it's interesting how in the 60s and 70s, actually with immigrants, um, with my parents being Filipino, they didn't teach us the language either. They wanted us to assimilate as quick as possible. They thought our brain
Hmm.
would get confused. So for me, like I understand Tagalog, but I don't the muscle it's a muscle thing. So I don't speak it either. It's unfortunate. But it was so beautiful to see it on screen. And because I mean, you grew up hearing other languages here. It's not like you didn't. And people don't think that Hamilton is as diverse as it is, but it really is, you know?
It is, and we were able to find not just sort of BIPOC diversity, but like we had Mary, who's young, and Ariel, who's a veteran actor and of stage, and we're able to find like I just really love how the cast came together and was put together for this.
Did you have casting people in Hamilton that did that for you, or did you go in on your own?
Well, I relied, Jen and Claudette, maybe you can talk
Ah,
about how we put this together. I frantically called you, basically saying, I'm making a movie in Hamilton, help.
Well, I remember when I mean, you had approached us early on in maybe January, and we did sort of an acting boot camp just to kind of get a sense of who was out
with,
there.
with the Creative Theater Company.
Love it. And so, so we tried to round up as many people as we knew. And then I think the famous call was I need a figure skater who's African Canadian and Olympic level skater. And I remember having that conversation going, Warren, like, and lives in Hamilton. Okay. And then we managed
Yes, I need a
to
black teenage figure skater who can act that lives in Hamilton because I can't afford to bring anybody else in from anywhere else. Do you have any idea where to find this
and
person?
we did.
you knew Yodit, right?
Well, yeah, not personally, but somebody else knew Yodit and said, yes, Yodit, that's who you need to talk to. And I'm like, okay.
She
I'm
is
like,
so perfect.
She is so perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
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 I did ask Warren. I said, "Oh my gosh, did you write it that way? Was Laura
Yes,
like
yes, I did.
written, or did you have an open cast for skating and then,
You,
work
you
in?"
know how we started with in the writing of it. We knew that Brenda, who becomes sort of a central figure in sort of the Hamilton underworld, vis-a-vis her bingo parlor consortium.
Okay.
We knew that we wanted her to be black, and we wanted her to be very powerful and very like a central character. And if her granddaughter was in the movie, then we wanted the granddaughter to be black as well. And so it was a very specific choice. We didn't understand how hard it was going to be. And in fact, when Jen and Claudette got us in touch with Yoda basically said, Warren, she's been skating for so long. She met one other black figure skater. I think she was from the States somewhere, and that was it. And she's like, if you didn't find me, you wouldn't find anybody. And that kind of speaks to, just like why films like Things That Do for Money is important, is to give the opportunities to people that might not otherwise get the opportunity to be either in a movie or to show their talents. And certainly finding Yoda was a big turning point for us, because otherwise we didn't really have a backup lead. We didn't know what to do. So.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Well, I thought she was the perfect romantic lead. I thought she was just so wonderful. I'm so sorry that she's not here, because I really wanted to talk to her.
Maybe Karen, maybe we can just kind of go around the horn and just introduce each other.
Absolutely. Let's do that. If we don't mind, if we could just introduce ourselves and say the character that we're playing, that would be really wonderful. Maybe we can go alphabetically. We'll go Theo and Max.
What's up? So I'm Maximilian Aoki, and I play Nick Yaguchi in the film.
And I'm Theodore Aoki, and I play Eli Yaguchi in the film, the sketch brother.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm Ed Aoki. I play just Jimmy. I play the uncle to Theo and Max, and in reality, I am actually their father. So it was an interesting time.
We didn't want to make it easy. We just couldn't make him the dad because he's the dad. We wanted him to kind of work the acting muscles.
Claudette.
Hello, I'm Claudette, and I play Miss Claudia.
Thank you.
Claudette, what's your full name? You can. The people back out in the cyberverse might not know you.
Claudette Brundage, and I think on Facebook it's Brenda Champson. Yeah.
Sweet. Jen, go ahead.
Oh, sure. I'm Jennifer Walton, and I play Mary Yaguchi.
Cool. And Mary.
I'm Mary Houston, and I play Elena.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ariel.
Yes, he is. There you go.
I play Rachel. I still haven't figured out whether she's the real boss or whether she just got sick of listening to Brenda.
She is now.
That's right.
Well, apparently.
Yes.
I want to go back to the Starlight Drive-In. It was sold out. I was able to snag a couple of a family bunch of tickets, for like some of the last tickets that were available. It was my husband's birthday. Our van was full of snacks. It was so good. I wondered actually, what was it like for you, Warren, and your multi-talented producer partner in crime, superwoman wife, Jen Pogue of Coop Productions. What was it like to see it there?
It was really great. It's always great to come back to Hamilton. I think what was the most special was that we were able to kind of do it together. And maybe I'll throw to Jen and Claudette and Theo, Max, and Ed were able to. Mary, you weren't there, right? Were you? Oh, sorry. Can you?
Drive-in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I came.
Oh, you were. I don't know. What was it like for you?
It was great.
And more, you can talk about it a little bit.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was super cool, especially because obviously that wasn't the original plan, but I honestly thought it was better because it's a drive-in in the summer. It was great. I loved it. And to see the film like that for the first time was pretty cool.
What's not to like?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna ask, have you been to the drive-in before, Mary? Like, is that?
Yeah, I went all the time growing up. So.
Yeah, me too. It's so special. I feel like it's so nice that it's making a resurgence.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, Warren, you were saying that it was super.
Yeah, it was just great. It was. I think the big thing for the film is to get people to see it, and it certainly was nice. It was mostly done for our cast and crew so we could all get together. A lot of the cast and crew, like Jen and Claudia, that was the first time you both saw it, right? So like,
Yeah.
what was it like sitting in that car, seeing yourselves?
Well, it was a fun atmosphere. So I think any of the worry or the angst, it was lessened because it was fun. We were, goofing around a little bit before, walking around, saying hi to everyone with our masks, social distancing, and then to have just be in your car with your big thing of popcorn. You could slouch if you needed to and have your mask on if you needed to, but the honks and the lights flashing, it was a riot. Yeah, it was so much fun. What about for you?
Yeah, it was great. And just a real party atmosphere. I know it wasn't, red carpet glam, but it was certainly unique, just like every single thing about this movie.
Yeah.
And really special.
And we parked beside each other.
We did. We got there early, so we could park side by
Of course we did. Yeah.
Because it is hard to find people in a drive-in with everyone in a mask, basically.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Did a lot of your students make it out?
I think it sold out so quickly, which again is testament to
Mary was there.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of people.
Krista McNaughton, I think, was there. Who has a part in the film, and yeah, there was some creative theater company alumni for sure.
Very cool. Mary, I just wanted to talk to you quickly about your character Elena. You were the daughter of Alexei, played by Dax. Is it Lowe?
Dax Lowe, yep.
Yeah, and Marina, played by Laura Radu.
Mm-hmm.
It was really intense. Like it was. Right? You came out of nowhere and this was like the situation itself. What kind of preparation did you have to do to get like from zero to?
Yeah, I mean, I read the script, so I had an idea of what was happening, but I mean, I only really got to understand when I got there and we were pretty much rehearsing and doing the scene. To prepare, Laura had to teach me some Romanian actually, and so that was interesting. That was kind of crazy too, because the situation for me, because I just kind of pop in out of nowhere, it does really go from 1 to 100, and so I kind of just had to build everything up on the spot, but it was super cool. It was really fun and fast and suspenseful too.
Yeah, Mary worked really hard. We wanted not just different characters within the film, but different voices too, and making the choice of Dax's family being Romanian, then trickled down to, well, his kid needs to be able to speak Romanian too. So Mary, like Ed and everybody else, had to kind of really investigate the character, and you're great, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Claudette and Jennifer, did you have to do double duty on this? Like, you had a lot of students on this. Did you have to like sort of coach them and then kind of like do your acting stuff? And
well, no, they organizing them a little bit, but then I think just trying to set that example of when you're acting, and hopefully we had trained everyone to do their bit too. Mm-hmm. So I know I found that really unnerving for the scene when I looked out and half of the classroom were our actual students, but when you're acting, you try to act rather than taking care of everyone else. That was a little bit of a mind switch. So
it's almost like you have to like switch hats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think that would be a big challenge.
Jen and Claudette were really great though. At the beginning, we did a very special acting boot camp at the Creative Theater Company, and it was I don't even think I had the script ready with Gary, but I wanted to see who was in Hamilton. Especially in the age range that they taught in, just because I knew that we needed people to inhabit these roles. So that was great. And that was kind of a unique experience for Creative Theater Company, right? To be able to look at the film acting. Was that something that was like, how did that go over with your students?
It was
Well,
huge. I'll let you take
yeah,
that
it
one.
was it was really exciting, I think, for everyone, for all of our students that did make the shift. You know, some students were not interested in film acting, but for those that were, it was a really fantastic opportunity. Number one, to get to have that one-on-one time with Warren in the boot camp and get feedback from him on the process. And that was a really invaluable experience for everybody who participated, and then getting the opportunity to do background work, or not in Mary's case, but in a lot of the other students that were throughout the film, just to be on set and get that, you know, life experience of, you know, how does the set work and what happens and when do you have to be quiet and how long do you have to wait, but you know, you hurry up and wait. And I think that it was just such a great experience for so many of them to have that opportunity. So we were really grateful. And then of course, Mary in the boot camp really, really knocked it out of the park. And I don't, you know, Mary, don't listen, but Warren, Warren was very impressed by Mary. And, you know, I know he was really looking for a way to be able to cast her in the film as well. So.
Well, and that's why classes and workshops like that are important, especially if you're working with film people or theater people, because, you know, we really do them to see what the talent is like out there. And definitely when we saw Mary, I went back and talked to Gary, and I'm like, you know, we could definitely write a daughter character and that could work that way, you know. So
amazing. Is that what did you actually write that part? Like write
yeah, yeah, basically.
Incredible.
There was a couple things that out of that boot camp, you know, we started formulating characters and different situations we could do. So it was great. So I think from the acting perspective, you know, there's so many classes that you could take, but when a class allows you to work with either director or industry people that might not be from the immediate group, it's great because you really do get a sense of what the talent pool is like.
And also it's such high impact learning. Like I'm kind of wondering if people switched over from theater to film.
I don't think, not just from one class, but
Oh,
you know,
you yeah, no, it's amazing. And I'm kind of like, I wonder, you know, this feature film experience, like I wonder if anybody will have been impacted so greatly that maybe years from now they'll have their own feature and they'll talk about, you know, they'll talk about their experience on this one.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Right. Amazing. I am actually, I really loved in the film how we saw all the different areas of Hamilton. And if you don't mind, I'm kind of curious to see where everyone feels connected, how everybody is rooted in this city. So if you don't mind, if we could just do a little round robin, I'll say that I grew up at the top of the Jolly Cut. So I will say that will forever be a mountain girl. Theo,
Yeah.
Max.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we grew up downtown Hamilton. We went to school, AM Cunningham in the East End, Ryerson Middle School, right kind of beside our house, and Westdale Secondary. Now we're in McMaster University. Slowly moving west, but still in Hamilton, and we're still downtown. So feel very connected to that kind of Hamilton core.
Cool.
Ed?
I guess Ed's the same story, I guess.
Not quite. I wasn't born in Hamilton. Actually, I'm probably outside of here. I was born in Alberta, so I have more connection with Banff that the guys went to. That was a joke. But moved to Hamilton in about, 25 years ago. I love the city. I think it's, to me, this is the way I characterize the city. It's the most honest city I've been in. It feels real. It doesn't feel like it's fake. I'm not going to say other cities because someone might get insulted by it, but travel to other places and you're going like, yeah, you don't feel real. You feel kind of like not quite real. But Hamilton, it feels real. And then I had a studio once down on Barton. That's a real place. And I walked home once to the West End, and I noticed how fast Hamilton changes, like within a couple of blocks. I mean, at one point in time, I'm really worried about my life. Another time, I'm feeling pretty relaxed. I think it's a great city. So there's my take from someone from Alberta.
I hear you. I think that the areas in Hamilton that's so diverse, like from east to west, north to south, on the mountain, below the mountain. We really have everything here,
Yeah,
and I
and
appreciate the
Barton,
honesty.
Barton Street.
Kenilworth.
Yeah, where by the way, Gary made us stand out at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was great. Waiting for a bus. Going, oh, are we gonna get out of this alive?
It's an experience.
I don't think Gary went. No, you weren't worried at all, Warren. I think you were asking people, "Hey, anyone want anything from A&W?"
Yeah, we just left you.
Get on Barton and take a bike from Parkdale out to Westdale.
Oh,
It's like going through 3 different cities.
yeah, at least, right?
And I think that's what we wanted to capture with the film is, when
And it was
Rachel
even
goes
more
up.
so in the 60s and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it used to be pretty rough.
Ariel, which areas do you feel rooted in? Have you always been in Hamilton?
No, I came to Hamilton as a young woman, and as a nurse,
Oh,
and immediately joined the Bach Elgar Choir because I'm also a singer. And I think basically I'm sort of oriented more towards the central core.
Okay.
So HTI, Players Guild,
Right.
worked with 2 or 3 different smaller companies as well. So yeah, probably the central, but I live in Dundas,
okay.
which is now Hamilton, apparently.
It is. Can I just ask, where did you nurse when you first got here?
St. Joe's.
Okay, very cool.
St. Joe's.
Nice. And what department?
Pardon?
What was your specialty?
Well, when I came here, I really didn't have much choice. I sort of applied for a job, and they put me on medical surgical, so which was sort of your standard posting for a new young grad. But eventually, I specialized in spinal cord rehab.
Oh, wow. Wow. Amazing. My mother was at Henderson. She was in the neonatal ward when she got there in the late 60s. So yeah. Thank you. Should we go this way?
Yeah, just Jen and Claudette, I guess, next, and then Mary after that.
Claudette.
It was really fun watching it with the family and recognizing different landmarks. That was, as Warren said before, Hamilton as Hamilton. So, seeing SJAM and we'd done Sears festivals and whatnot there. So it was really fun picking spots out. And like Ariel, I'm a Dundas gal, but it's all Hamilton now. So
yeah, I grew up in the east end of Hamilton, Quigley Road area, and then lived in Stony Creek near the lake. And then now, like in all of my adult life, I've lived downtown Hamilton or West End Hamilton. And so I don't know, I find the whole Hamilton experience is and it's diverse, is different depending upon kind of where you grew up and where you live now. But I'm Hamilton proud. I've always lived in Hamilton.
I think just adding one other part, my family was watching it. They were here from England watching it with me, and they had shopped downtown. And it was really fun to say, you guys have been there. Like we remember when we shopped at that store. And it was fun to be able to identify with places that even people from out of town could recognize. It felt really inclusive. It was really cool.
Thank you. Mary, where are you from? What area do you connect with?
Technically I live in Hamilton. I live more in Waterdown, so outside of Hamilton, but technically Hamilton. So yeah, kind of far away from Hamilton, but
it's still part of Hamilton.
It's all good.
Yeah. And Warren, you're mountain.
I'm mountain. We went to Hill Park together. I went to Sherwood for a bit, ended up at Hill Park, and worked at the Downtown Keg. And that's where I met Gary at the 33 Bowen keg that is now not a keg. I think it's just called 33 Bowen.
Oh.
But so I'm split. I mean, I have a lot of memories working at the keg downtown and then walking up the escarpment at like 3 a.m. To go home because, you know, the buses weren't running and couldn't afford the cab because I was, you know, a bus boy or whatever. So, but yeah, I love the city. And one of the things I think in this conversation that we're having is all these different areas we really wanted to capture. You know, when Ariel was saying you kind of go through 3 different cities on one street, we wanted to show that Hamilton is a vibrant city, but also a city that's changing. It's changing from its sort of Stelco to Fasco Steeltown roots into now it's a medical hub basically. So much cancer research being done there,
But also arts.
and the arts come, right. So whenever you have a main industry like that, that's when the chefs come and the restaurants come and the artists, and you know, so we wanted to find that. And obviously with Max and Theo with the cello playing, we wanted to show the artistic class of Hamilton as well.
Yes, absolutely. No, it really has changed quite a bit. I remember working at the Stratford Festival, and I said, "Oh, I'm from Hamilton," and one of the senior actors said, "Honey, don't say that so loud."
Say
And
it
I
loud
thought,
now.
yeah. But now when you go somewhere else, they're like, "Oh, you're from Hamilton. There's a lot going on in Hamilton. It's like little Portland, you know, or
Yeah.
like you know, like Brooklyn." It's like, so yeah, I think we're in an amazing place.
Yes, Becky Banfield Torrio. Hi, Hill Park. Let's go. Keep your questions coming in the chat. I'm keeping track of them. We'll be getting to them in just a bit. But back to you there, Karen.
Thanks so much. I really need to say, Ariel Rogers, you scared me. Your character of Rachel was just incredible. She's had an iron stomach, unsuspecting, fierce. You made me a little more cautious about Hamilton seniors and walkers. Thank you. Thank you so much for being part of this film. It's so nice to meet you. I wanted to ask you, what did you think when you got this call for this incredible character?
They just wanted somebody old. They didn't care who it was.
Oh, that's not true, Ariel. Come on.
Actually, I felt quite. I was flattered, quite frankly, because there's a pretty large number of women who are sort of within 10 to 15 years of my age who could have done that role in this city. So I was flattered. Thank you again. It was quite an opportunity. As I said, I've never killed anyone before. I've felt like it on stage, but that wasn't in the character. It was just because of what was happening on stage.
I thought you were marvelous, and I'm a bit afraid to ask, but did you draw on someone like to create her, or someone?
Oh yeah, honey, I went deep
Did
inside.
you? Yeah.
No, actually, I thought about a neighbor or two that I probably would have.
That's amazing. I actually always wanted to know when you read the script, what were you like, because you had no idea what the project was until you actually read the scene. What like, I don't know what you thought when you read it.
When I read it, I was really, I was a little concerned about how to flesh this woman out. You know, like who is she? Was she? You know, where's your concept of her? Because there's very little in the script, which gives you a pretty broad base to work from. You know, just in terms of interpretation. And
you're really only in 2 scenes, but they're probably 2 of the most important scenes in the entire movie. No offense to everybody else, Max and Theo. All right, you might get the cover of the Go section of the Hamilton Spectator, but Ariel really was.
Don't let your head get too big for you, kid. I don't know this for sure, but I'm wondering if my ability to do accents had something to do with that choice. I have no idea. So
interesting. Well,
Plus,
Fantastic. Oh my gosh.
I was
so
as
good.
soon as you auditioned, we all knew that you were going to be the Rachel. So
well, that's cool. I've met quite a few people like her,
Mhm,
only they were guys.
right.
Mm.
So it was like some of the roles I've done where all the really sort of edgy jokes that you would normally, you know, be given to a 65, 70-year-old guy,
Mhm,
I got to say them, you know, it's that kind of sort of like turnaround thing in your head. So
excellent.
I just loved the bingo line.
Bingo stays the same.
Bingo.
I have to say, I love that chase scene. I always think about like there's two chase scenes, but that one, like from the foyer to the kitchen, and like the way it was shot by the marvelous Christoph Benfi.
Mhm.
It was like it's I laugh and I'm fearful at the same time when I think about that incredible chase scene with and just how you've placed these incredible seniors in this which challenges us to in the way that we look at.
That was a lot of fun. Ariel, I don't know what you remember about that day with Colette in the house, but it's a scene in the movie where Ariel's character kind of faces off with Colette Zaka, who plays Brenda,
Incredible.
and it's really written in the script. This is the weirdest chase you've ever seen because Colette's in a wheelchair and Ariel has a walker. But that was a lot of fun. Ariel.
My husband howled when he saw it.
But do you remember shooting it? What I kept saying was go slower because I really wanted to accentuate how ridiculously slow this chase was going to be. Because you were sprightly, you were like boom, like let's get this over with. And
I know. I had a lot of experience teaching spinal cord people how to use a walker.
That's right.
Okay, you got it now. Let's go. No, I think if you'd said to me, you know, like you're 105 years old, can you just take your time? Oh, you just let me figure it out all by myself. But yeah, that chase scene was funny. So.
Yeah.
And one more thing I will add, I thought you were so proficient with a walker and a weapon, like with one hand, like it was so amazing.
That's Warren's doing.
Is it?
Yes, it has nothing to do with me. He made me pull that fucking gun out about 17,000 times.
You were so proficient. It really like, yeah.
Yeah, it was like
Brilliant.
It all worked in the end, I think.
Warren, you made me look like a crack shot.
Yeah, you are. Let me tell you, I wouldn't cross lines with Rachel anytime soon. So
Me neither.
I think people, when they see the movie, are going to be very impressed by Ariel's marksmanship.
I was the first person to rap.
Yeah. On that day.
That?
On that day, we had wrapped people.
I was the first person done, completely sort of like done. And you said this is the first person who's sort of like done with the film, and everyone's laughing, and I'm thinking I don't want to go home.
There might have been some other sort of day players, like Mary would have been wrapped, but like in terms of the main cast, yeah, you were one of them for sure. That was a long night. We started that in the afternoon.
That was long.
We finished at 5 a.m. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, because we Theo and Max, we all went running around Hamilton at night. So.
Wow.
Wow, well worth it. Thank you so much. So I'm so glad I got to like tell you all those things about Rachel. Get it off my chest.
Oh, thank you, Karen.
My pleasure. If I may, I'd like to talk with Ms. Jennifer Walton. I can't believe that's you. Yes. I can't believe it's taken us this long, like to meet, really.
Well, Karen, you forget the day at the Trocadero, we had a really nice conversation.
That is true. No, I do remember. Yes, I do remember the Trocadero.
Yeah.
My sons were extras in that in the Trocadero. Yeah, it was so amazing. Like to be on set with my boys. I've got 2 young boys.
So
and
well behaved.
Oh, thank you. That's a high compliment coming. And they told me, they kept saying, Mom, we told everybody we're in a movie, but nobody believes us. And yeah, they were just thrilled. And it was so amazing to see, to introduce them to Warren, and like just to be in that atmosphere with everyone. It was so great. Um, so you play the mom of Eli and Nick, the wife of Tosh Yiguchi, played by the multi-talented Rhett Morita. And you write, you act, you teach, you're co-director of a creative theater company. Like, that's a lot of hats.
Well, isn't that what we all have to do?
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. If you could choose, like, if there was an abundance of everything and you could choose one of those, like, and that would be it for the rest of your days, what would it be?
Karen, that's such a hard question.
I know you've got.
I don't feel like that's really a fair question.
I mean, Jen, if you had nothing to do for 4 months and you just had to stay home and not go out, what, you know?
Well, I've been doing some writing. That's what I've been focusing on lately, because that's that's something you can do during a pandemic. It's quite convenient, actually, to do some writing. So yeah.
Will we be seeing any of it, and or is there like something to look forward to? Is there?
I would hope so. I'm part of the Aquarius playwright unit, so the piece I'm working on right now, hopefully someday we'll get to see. I did have a play that was going to be part of the Theater Aquarius Indie Fest that was supposed to be seen in May or June or whatever, but of course that got canceled. So yeah. I do have a piece that's going to be part of Burloak Theater's. I think they're trying to figure out how to do social distance theater. So I wrote a 10-minute play that's going to be part of that. And another little piece that I wrote that is going to be done in Florida. So
that's amazing.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Someday. I mean, COVID has really thrown everything off, right? So yeah, lots of things on pause.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I feel like this COVID time is like everybody's cocooning, but everybody's writing. And once we get out of here, it's just going to explode. Like all the creativity is just going to, like, you know, it'll finally get out there for people to see.
I hope so. That would be great.
I wanted to ask you, what does it mean, or what did it mean to get to work on this film with such a great part in your hometown? What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was so fun. I felt a real responsibility because we've known Warren since Warren was like 16. Warren?
Basically, 16 when I walked into your studio.
And so, you know, when Warren asks you to audition for a film he's shooting in Hamilton, which is his love letter to Hamilton, it's a real responsibility, you know, and an honor. It was so exciting. And I think one of the things I loved about playing Mary, and we have discussed this before, to actually play a mom to kids that I could be their mom, actually, because oftentimes in film, the mom is like 10 years younger than she should actually be. And so I really appreciated being able to.
If this was a Paramount movie, Mary Houston would play the mom of Theo.
That's true.
Basically, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Warren, for casting it the way you have cast it. Thank you. Women performers everywhere, like, appreciate you.
Yeah.
Well, and the mom character in the movie, you know, she really narratively drives a lot of the story forward. And I think, Jen, do you remember when we sat down with the script and I kind of told you that, you know, just that's the drive behind Mary?
Yeah. It was really fantastic. It's so great. You know, because I've had some feedback about, you know, wow, that the mom makes some really bad choices, and it's like, yeah.
No, but I think the mom makes bold choices and trying to protect her family, trying to protect her sons, basically, from Tosh, who's not able to make those choices, which
Right, and that's kind of how I looked at it. Was you've got circumstances are going very poorly, and you're decisive, and Mary makes really strong choices to try and save her family, and so that's kind of how I looked at it. Yeah, and I have a son that's Max's age, who's also named Max, and they all went to school together. So there's another Hamilton connection in there. And so, just thinking about what it means to be a mom and how you'll do just about anything you have to do to keep your family safe. And Mary gets it done.
That's the next T-shirt. Liz Hodgkinson says, she loves the Wasabi Journey T-shirts, boys. So good on you. But maybe the next T-shirt will be Mary Gets It Done.
I did wonder about her actually. Like, she seems she's super strong, and she knows how to function in dark corners of a restaurant to make deals and things happen. Like, I kind of wonder like what her life was before. What it was before she had the boys. Yeah, I think she's tougher than we get to see, or she's lived,
Yeah, well, we did talk about the backstory of like what happened in Vancouver that brought them to Hamilton, and how did Mary get hooked up with the crime family in the first place? I think there's a prequel there. I think
that would surprise a lot of people. I think.
I think so. Which is fun.
I totally agree. I kind of wonder too about I was there at the Trocadero, when you met Jimmy.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I wondered if she has something on Jimmy. I kind of wonder if there's an out scene, where, or a flashback of like, what happened before that she's able to get this guy to come like that. I mean, the money helps, but he must have something on him.
Well, I don't know, Warren. Did we talk about the backstory there?
All I have to say is the only person that just Jimmy says son to is in the movie somewhere.
Oh.
That's all I have to say. And we're going to move on to the next question that Karen has.
Okay. Well, amazing. That brings me to Ed Aoki, like Uncle Jimmy, brother to Tosh. Uncle Jimmy, so much is going on. I love his mystery.
It's just Jimmy, actually.
Jimmy.
Just Jimmy.
Okay. And I heard Ed, was this your first like acting gig feature?
Yes, it was the first, and something I didn't expect to happen. And as Warren has said in the other interviews, because he was so desperate that he couldn't find anyone. That
you were fantastic. I wouldn't have known, honestly. That's why I had to ask. From what I've read, you're a visual artist. Is that right?
That's right. I'm a visual artist. Actually, I've shown it at the Hamilton Art Gallery a long time ago. But right now I teach at a military boarding school, and to teach art, and I supervise the boys there.
It's very just Jimmy.
Yeah.
Do you think that have they caught wind of this film?
They don't believe that I'm in anything that could be anything worth watching. It's just like, hey, I'm in a movie. They go, yeah, right. So what do you play? A rock? And I said, no, something better. No, and so actually a few of my colleagues actually have seen the movie, and they're actually shocked. So they love the movie. They always knew my boys were talented, but they had real doubts about me. So that's a good thing.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Did you ever think that you would play Hitman on the big screen?
No, never. No, I didn't think that at all. But when I got the chance, I thought, I have absolutely no experience, but gotta do that one. Anyway, it was such a cool part that I couldn't pass that up, especially.
Of course. How could you say no? I was going to ask you, Did you have any inspirations that you looked to play the part of Jimmy?
You mean real inspirations?
I don't know. If
Okay,
there are real inspirations.
this is actually something interesting. There's a long time ago, and I just talked to Max and Theodore about this. When I was about their age, my parents had a visit from a stepbrother that they didn't know they had from Japan, who came to visit.
Ooh.
Wow.
And the stepbrother was actually quite a powerful man in Japan. And that's why he probably didn't want to get in contact with us. But he came and visited us, and he brought along an entourage, like a large entourage. And one guy, I'm pretty sure, was Yakuza. This Baron and all that. So I remember watching him a lot, thinking, wow, because this guy like represents like old Japanese values, like that set of being set and nothing really flustering him, and just being like single focus. So that in a way, I thought about him a lot. And
I've never heard this story. That's amazing.
Amazing.
I just remember talking about with Max the Theater. Hey, you know what? I think we might have contact with Yakuza actually. So that was something that I thought about. Plus, I just thought about actually being an older brother. I'm the youngest son, and I thought, okay, well, my older brother, what was he like? And he was a bit of a jerk. So I just you know just thought, you know what, this is what's like to be Doug Aoki. So that was my inspiration. Just drawing on what I knew from like my own family and my relatives and how they act. And actually, my dad's side, my uncles, they were pretty tough guys. Just remember watching them, just how they talked and how they just weren't that much fun. And that gentleman who came from Japan, and thinking about the dynamics. That was really what I was thinking about.
Incredible. So you had like life inspiration to draw from, like quite a bit actually. That's so good. I need to ask you, has the acting bug bit?
I love it. I mean, no one else seems to love it, but I love it. Actually, Jen got me a bit being in a reading of a play, which was a lot of fun, and I got to play a Korean grandfather who actually died as well. So it's like everyone wants to see me dead. But no, I mean, it was an experience that just absolutely no background to it, and just jumped in, and it was like really exciting and really kind of terrifying in a lot of ways. But it was like, just take that risk. And I mean, hats off to everyone on like Warren for taking that risk on people like me. But it was a lot of fun just doing it. And
I remember shooting the alleyway sequence when you actually got to shoot a gun with live squibs in it, live round fire, and you're like, "This is cool."
Yeah, this is that. Yeah, this is what it's all about. That definitely was a diary entry that day.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Well, I hope the acting bug has bit, because I think Canada, the Canadian film industry needs you.
Okay. Oh, thank you. My real dream is to be to do denture ads in Japan. I think that would be really good.
That'd be cool.
All right.
So I was going to ask you, being Max and Theo's dad, I was wondering if you could share anything small about them starting out on the cello, because I admire parents that encourage their kids to take on strings, because it's not pretty in the beginning. And you have to have a lot of patience, and the sound can be so raw, but with that patience, and if you can hold out and get over that hump, you get to brilliance, like your sons. Like, do you have any memories about them? As no,
really, I've got to say, the patience was my wife, Alicia. That was the patience. I wanted them to play the cello because when I was young, I wanted to play cello. I remember one time my music teacher said, "Hey, Ed, you should pick another instrument to try out." I said, "Oh, I want to try the cello." And I told that to my dad. He goes, "Okay, great." So he went to a store and he bought a trumpet. So I thought, Japanese fathers.
Yeah.
It was so close.
Yeah.
But so I really wanted when Max was around. I thought picking an instrument. We thought, hey, you know what, cello would be great. That was always the back of mind. But then when he was starting the Suzuki with just the toddlers, just doing the drumming and all that. One of the teachers there had a really great rapport with him. That was Rebecca Morton, and we thought, wow, that's the person I would like to see teach my son, and we connected them together, and that was it. I mean, and then when Theodore came along, it was just like, hey, you know what, Theodore, let's start up in cello as well too. I thought it was a great idea. Didn't realize how expensive cellos were. Whoa!
You could have half of one.
Yeah, yeah, and they grow too. The cellos grow as well too, so they start getting bigger and bigger. So we have to get like larger cars. But the memories of them is that memory I have when they're little, they're just playing the cello, and they're really good at practicing, especially Max is really good at it. Theodore picked up a little later. For a while, he was like, nah, I'm so about cello. But then once the bug hits Theodore, he just gets like focused and pretty intense about it. But I remember, like, it was actually right behind me right here is when they said, hey, hey, Dad, you want to hear us play a duet that they figured out? There was like a Michael Jackson cover. I said, sure. And in my head, I thought, well, this could be bad. But it actually was pretty good. And I thought, well, that was pretty good. And I started from there. They just started just playing that, and then they started playing it at different events, and then it just sort of grew from there. So, and when you say to me, hey, do you remember something? Why I went like made a face is because it was pretty organic. There wasn't like something definite things happen. It's just like organically things just grew and grew and grew and grew, and so organically that at one point in time, like Warren contacts them and then ignores them for 2 years, and then comes back with this idea of a film. But it's just all organic.
I love it. Organic is the best.
It actually segues, Karen, into a great first question, a question from the Facebook chat. Was Sand asks, tell us about the musical cello score. Who wrote it? Was it composed for this movie? And it's kind of a nice segue from your question to the boys. Not only have to act for the first time, but write this music.
Is that to us? So
Yeah. Well, I mean, we know the answer. Who wrote it? Was it composed for this movie?
It was absolutely composed for this movie. Actually, the most fun we had writing music for the movie was the piece Monument, we ended up calling it. It was a final cello performance. It's throughout the movie, and it's the main kind of goal for us to perform to get into Banff. What we originally had to work with was the script, where at the climax of the piece you have this 5-6 minute major cello performance, and it's got to fit into not just a feature film and not just the climax moment of the film, but a heist with I think 4 different narrative elements that are kind of going in between each other, and we've led up to this moment, and you know we have to flex some cello muscle, especially because that's kind of the reason we got brought into the project. and originally in the script we had the Vivaldi double cello concerto, which we were talking about recreating, and it's a very, very popular, very famous double cello concerto. Anyone who plays cello would recognize it, and it's very standard.
It's a rite of passage, one would say.
It's what?
It's a rite of passage, one would say.
It is a rite of passage. And but we kind of were playing it and trying it out and looking at the script and realizing it wasn't really meshing together, and it wasn't the tone that the script had. And we talked to Warren, we talked to Gary. And we kind of came to the collaborative decision. We want to write something for this. We want to do something original, something crazy. My brother and I come from a very both classically trained musical background, but also doing contemporary, very rhythmic, very stylistic music. Just a bunch of slides, a bunch of percussive elements and all that. And we thought we could do something kind of cool to match the tone of every different page of it. So we kind of dug back through our voice memos that, every once in a while we're just practicing, we find a cool idea. We looked at moments where we needed what we called a cat and mouse theme, what we called like the rising action transitional.
And then we have the fan favorite, the Achilles heel.
The Achilles heel was in the script since the very first day, and it's the section that Eli just can never quite do. And becomes more and more worried as we get down from the final to the final act. And so we needed a piece of music and a section right there that was going to be so difficult that cellists everywhere would be like, whoa, that's hard. Like I want to try that. And then like and it would carry weight and have impact.
When we wrote that, it was originally an octave lower, which makes it like super easy to play. Like not like super easy, but like relatively easy. But then we were like, we gotta ramp up this difficulty.
Yeah, it's just not hard enough. People aren't going to be impressed.
So we ramped it up an octave, and suddenly became impossible.
Impossible.
It's
not just a hard section. It's like
things get done that fingers shouldn't be allowed to do.
Fingers should not be allowed to do that on the cello, and it's.
I felt the same way. We only had 20 cast members when we first wrote the first draft, and Gary was, that's not enough. We need 56. Yeah. So it's like just up, like things to do for money is just upping whatever it is.
Exactly, it's true.
And when we wrote it, let me tell you straight from the source, it truly is impossible to play.
Well, and we do this piece as well for all of our promotional tours. On to Whistler, we played. We went to Louisiana, we played, and we played just for our own conscience as well, just to throw in our own original content. And that's the moment that we were both sweating buckets on stage. We played for 15 years.
I was sweating buckets,
and we never know if it's gonna work.
Yeah. Well, the Whistler Gala, there was about 400 people there, including all the filmmakers. Simon Pegg from Star Trek was there, and they played a 30-minute cello set at the gala opening, and they were incredible. And Wilf Ruland says, "Thank goodness you wrote your own piece. It was brilliant, boys." So there you go.
So awesome. That's so nice to hear.
Oh, brilliant. I love how aware of the emotional arcs of the scenes that you are as actors, but also as composers. Like, I think like it's totally incredible that you're actually, that you actually get to stand in these character emotional journeys, but then you also get to score it. Like, who would know that journey better, right?
I think one of the most fun aspects of doing the score as well as being part of the acting sequence is that, we really tried our best. This is our first time doing any kind of composition for a large kind of body of work. 50 plus cues, I think. Warren, thank you. Appreciate that. It was a lot of fun to do. And one of the things we really want to do is not just have like all of this sort of background ambient, just like texture music. We made a theme for almost every major character.
Oh, wow.
So just Jimmy has a theme that recurs every time he comes around or every time he has a major moment. Alexi has a theme that starts off at the trailer when you kind of introduce him as the bad guy and also continues on through all of his major moments. And it was so much fun to watch over the rough cuts of the movie and kind of analyze these characters. And we're not just kind of getting into where are we coming from? Where's Eli? Where's Nick coming from? How does the brother confrontation work musically? But how does Alexi's character work musically? It
was really a great introduction into even just getting into film, because even before I don't want to speak for you too, but I wasn't really into like film or scores in general. So it's not something that I really thought about. But doing the acting first. I mean, technically we wrote Monument first, then the acting, and then from that perspective of really delving deep into a story, into a script, it was like our first introduction, and we were able to, I think, carry that over through the music, which is really fun.
Oh yeah, you can totally.
We got a Hans Zimmer masterclass too, so we can learn from the greats. It was great.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you came to a DGC masterclass with Hans Zimmer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, incredible. I'm just going back.
I do have actually. I want to get to some questions from the audience out there in Facebook land. This is a good one, Karen, for probably everybody on the Zoom. Maybe if they could give a brief answer of. Kenlin McKibben Hewson asks, "What was the hardest scene to film?" Which might be an interesting acting question for everybody. So let's go with Ariel first and just kind of go back and around.
Yeah.
Hardest scene for me was the chase. The walker in the wheelchair, and figuring out how slow I actually had to go, and figuring out what it was you were trying to do there with it.
Ariel, I think you're being very nice to the people in the bingo scene, which included my dad at the table, because I think that fucking scene was so fucking hard to do.
Well, I don't remember an awful lot about the bingo scene, and I'll tell you why. Well, no, I do remember it about sort of intimate details about it. I thought that was a really interesting mix of people around the table.
Mhm.
Was your uncle?
My dad.
Your dad. He was
Yeah.
terrified.
He was.
He was terrified. And I
He
don't
had 2 lines. He had 2 lines. I hope he's watching right now. I love you, Dad.
I don't think he ever thought that he would feel that way.
No, because you think you have 2 lines, right? You say them, but then you have to say one line to one person and one line to the other. And yeah, it threw the table off a little bit through that. Ariel, I commend you for that scene because your patience was amazing. So was Colette. But that first take, I don't know if you remember, the first take of that scene was 25 minutes long for a 5-page scene.
You know what? The father of a longstanding friend of mine, actually a fellow who used to own a hotel in Dundas, is in that particular retirement home.
Oh, okay.
And he had just met a lady at a bingo game. Get this. His wife had died several months before, and he just met a lady at the bingo game, and they were like this. They were so cute.
Wow.
So when I wasn't concentrating on what you were saying, I was watching John.
He was probably confused as to why the same 5 numbers kept coming up.
They could not figure out why the hell they weren't playing bingo. Come on. They're all 85.
That's amazing.
Anyway, your dad was a darling. But
yes.
You terrified him.
Turned out great in the movie, though.
I'm sure.
Yeah, Karen, the question is, what was the hardest scene to film, and I guess why?
Yeah, Mary, I know you had one scene, but do you remember like within that arc, like was there like a moment within that scene that you had to hit it in order for it to work?
I don't completely remember, but I know the hardest part was trying to learn my Romanian lines.
Romanian, yes.
That was difficult because I only speak English, so even I didn't realize how difficult it would be. And then when I started, the pronunciation was just so unnatural and weird for me. So I was like, I think that was the hardest part. But yeah, I think the whole scene, I was pretty much just supposed to be like hyperventilating pretty much. And so I guess, yeah, I think so. I think that was probably the most difficult part for me.
And that's hard to sustain. So yeah, kudos to you. It was really done well. It really was.
Yeah.
Jen, what about yourself? What was the hardest?
Definitely the kidnap bathroom scene in the hotel, because Warren had piled furniture in the tub on top of the and so I had to get right in there and haul stuff out. And also
and Rhett's right underneath waiting for you to do this.
Yeah, there's some urgency there. But also, emotionally, it was an intense scene to get to that point of the relief of finally finding him in the tub, but also it was a lot, and it was exciting and a challenge and fun. But I know Warren had, we had talked about it ahead of time, just how important the emotion of that scene was too. So physically to go through the process of it and also to make sure, you're hitting the mark emotionally was
yeah, but how many times did he make you do it?
Sometimes. Maybe not as many times as the bingo scene.
Thank you. Claudette, what was the hardest for you?
I think acting for reals in front of my students. So,
That's right. You had like added pressure.
Yeah,
Because the music class there was a lot of your creative theater company students within that class.
exactly. Yeah. So that was, please don't let me screw it up in front of all these kids and Warren. And yeah, so
Yeah, there is something about that, actually. I remember in university, our professor was on stage with us and he played like we just did scenes and he did Lear. And I remember everybody like looking at him and it was like they totally broke character because they were just watching their professor like go through the motions because they'd never seen him, do like go full out, just advise us on what we should be doing. So I can imagine like even for your students, it must have been quite the experience to go, okay, yeah, we're in character, you know.
yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Ed, what about for yourself? What was the hardest scene for you?
I've actually got a couple. One fundamentally was the Japanese scene because I don't speak Japanese, and trying to say it, and but as well because the Warren had a Japanese language coach right there, so every time he screwed up the line, he go no. So that was
Pressure's on.
and that was. But physically, the toughest scene I think was the very first one I shot was in the car. Remember the car, Warren?
Yes. Oh yeah.
This car was like was supposed to be the sports car for Alexi, and it was a hot day. It was a really hot day, and I think I was sweating. Like I was sweating a lot.
This outside the mansion?
Outside the mansion.
Okay. And the car was not working.
Yeah, the car wasn't working. Warren told me you can't turn it off, and said there's only one rule, Ed. You cannot turn off the car, and it's a standard as well too. So I drive a standard. So my automatic thing when I stop is to turn off is to stop it. And I did the wrong thing. So there's a lot of pressure there. Plus it was hot, so I had these ice packs like taped to my body. And then I was driving down the street, and I was driving down the street chasing after Alexi. And I'm chasing him in the car. And not only that, but Warren goes, "Hey, Ed, don't wear your glasses." So, okay, so I can't see as I'm wearing like non-prescription sunglasses. And I'm driving this car, and then I screw up the first one, and I'm chasing after a human being. And Dax turns around and goes, Ed, you got to hear my cues. When you do this, I said, Dax, I can't hear you. He goes, oh, okay, so I'll make this motion. And I said, Dax,
I can't see you.
So it was all sort of guesswork. So that doing that.
And you had to put a gun out the side and try to shoot him.
Then Warren saying, okay, steer, change gears, and shoot. Okay, two hands. So that was tough. That was definitely the toughest scene.
You basically surmise indie film acting, the challenges indie film actors face.
And not only that, but I had we had like Christoph in the back, right?
Yeah.
Filming.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Theo, what about for yourself? What was the hardest scene for you?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
My hardest scene is honestly probably anything that we filmed past 12 a.m. because I have a laughing problem.
Yeah, we're getting close, Theo. It's 9:15, so
okay, I have a laughing problem and a early bedtime. And then those two problems intersect. So when it's past like 12 a.m., I'm running off like 5 hours of sleep every night and just like absolutely wired. And then I don't know, like I'll be doing like even the most serious thing, like just opening the door and just like a breakdown. Just absolute mirth coming from
you did. There's one scene, and we must have been shooting at 2 a.m. In the Yaguchi house, and all you had to do was come into the room, sit down, and like do your hyperventilating breathing. And you just could not do that scene.
I felt so bad, but it's such an awful feeling, like laughing when you feel terrible about it.
And yet you can play an incredible cello concerto that you wrote yourself, and have all these like moments within it, narratively and emotionally. But you just couldn't open that damn door and sit down. It just like. Yeah, we did.
I want to jump on that story a little bit too because this was at the Yaguchi house, the Airbnb, and while theater was upstairs getting those scenes done at 2 a.m. or something like that, our dad and myself were downstairs just relaxing. We had just finished, and we knew that what was coming up, like 'cause we heard the laughing that was going upstairs, and we knew it was too late, and we needed those shots, and like we were getting strapped for time, and we were so worried that we'd have to go in there.
Like, 'cause what happens, like, first, it's past my bedtime.
Yeah.
And then I start laughing. And then, like, eventually, it just turns into crying.
Too many emotions past 12.
Yeah, Max and I thought we had to do an intervention at one point in time. Just wrap him up in blankets and take him away. We were ready downstairs, Warren, for you.
Oh man.
Theo, dare I ask, what is your expiration time? What did you keep talking about your bedtime? Like, what time is that?
It's
9:30 or?
certainly like 10:30. 10:30 is the cutoff.
Okay, amazing. What about you, Max? Can you think of a hard time that a hard scene that you might have had?
I think from an actor's perspective, and I really felt this because we were trained so much by Warren, Gary, Laura Norden did such an amazing job with kind of getting us psyched into the whole idea of how to present yourself on screen and how to, like, have your emotions come across. But that's not natural. I'll at least say for myself. And one of those things that's not as transferable from music. And there was this one scene where I come back from the bar after a really late night of partying with Alexi, and there's lots of drinking there, and lots of substances, and I was very, very nervous about going into that, just because I don't want to screw up. Everyone's cut for time, and when the cameras roll, everyone's watching you, and that was a very self-conscious moment. So I remember I had to go up into upstairs where people weren't using any rooms, lock myself in a room, turn off all the lights while they were prepping cameras, and just like get myself so disoriented that I would just walk downstairs, someone would call action, I just walk in the scene and try my very best. And it was like it was method, not because I'm experienced enough to do that, just because I had to.
Survival.
Survival, exactly.
Actually, I was curious. I mean, cello and your musicianship is like breathing, it's so natural to you. It's here. And then you have this new discipline that's over here. Did you find like the sweet spot, in between when you're acting and playing cello? Like, did you have to like navigate that? Or did you find that when you were just doing scenes, like it was a different zone than when you were like playing the cello and then like being filmed? Like, could you feel it?
Definitely. Whenever we're playing the cello for real in the movie, we're just playing the cello. And we will be getting direction from Warren and say, like, look left, like look right, like see what's going on, smile, right? And so we'll add in those
standard music video directing. Basically, every music video I've ever done, whether it's country or rock, or look left, look right, look up, look down, smile.
but other than that, it's very just immersive in the music, and we're always so focused on each other that it's not really it ends up being an outward performance, but it only kind of comes from us connecting with each other through the music. And that is like amazing. It was amazing writing on Warren and Gary's part too, because that was how our characters were built up in the movie. Nick and Eli, we're always connecting with each other, whether it's the tension there, whether we're fighting, whether we're having a good time. It's always natural, and it's always very honest and open and direct in the way that brothers are. And we just, as brothers,
or at least these brothers are.
It's true. And we just happen to mesh really well when we're acting with each other, because there's no kind of guard up. We know each other too well. We communicate all the time.
Yeah, it was so incredible. Like your relationship as brothers resonated so incredibly on film. Like you could just feel the depth. Like you were so watchable at any given time. Like I have two boys, and I started to project. They're half Filipino, half Hungarian, and I saw you on screen, and I started to project into their turbulent teen years, and I loved. It was such a treat for me as a mom. I just wanted to ask really quickly. Watching these two characters being from two different cultures under one roof. Um, I think I'm really appreciative of seeing that kind of story and those kind of characters.
Sort of the interracial relationship that Mary has with Tosh. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like how what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you see those types of characters very much and are able, like that you can connect with? Like, I'm so happy that you did this.
Sorry, is that a question towards?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'll say in Well, we talked about this with Warren also, and Warren said it very, very well. It's a there's a Japanese Canadian side of the movie, and it's kind of interdispersed with the language and the culture and the interactions between the brothers. But it's also kind of in the same way could have been parts that were given to anybody of any kind of background and any ethnicity, and it just so happens that these are two brothers and they happen to be Japanese Canadian. And so I don't think I'll say I've never actively thought about how I'm bringing out either the Japanese side of me or like the Polish side of me, or any of those two. It's just uh, that wasn't even really informing my performance.
It was sort of like a case of like, it was like about the family, and not especially like where the family was from, I found.
Hmm.
Very
I
cool.
think it's just important that it existed. Karen, like never did I need, except for the Japanese scene where they're speaking Japanese, but I never had to give the direction to Max and Theo, be Japanese. They just exist that way. We exist this way. And this is the story we're telling. I think it was interesting, Jen, how you approached Mary being in this family, as you kind of made that choice of being a mother, being a wife, and a boss of a construction company. But we really didn't go into the cultural dynamics of it, right?
No, no.
Yeah.
No, not really. But I think it's such an experience for so many families. My sister's partner was Japanese, and my niece is half Japanese and half Canadian, and it's a part of our family as well. My brother's married to his wife is Korean, so I don't know. I don't know that it just, I think, as the boy said, it just is, and or as Warren said, and I think that's so lovely.
Thank you. Warren, do we have any other questions that need to be
We
answered?
have a little bit of a shout out. My cousin's watching, Paul Shimoda, which is amazing. He said he absolutely loved the bingo scene, by far his favorite. So shout out to Ariel. And just some really great comments, a lot of love from everybody out there. And Kenlyn McKibben Houston asks when the sequel is going to be. I can tell you, Gary and I started writing a sequel to Things I Do for Money, called Things I Do for Money 2, Tokyo Aria. And we were going to go to Japan to shoot part of it. We were probably going to do it this winter or in January with the boys, and kind of get all the stuff but something happened in the world called COVID-19, and it kind of stopped everything. So right now we're kind of focusing on the movie that exists right now, and just trying to get as many people to watch it and watch these amazing performances that we have.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. A sequel. Holy cow. Incredible. This one just came out.
So yeah, I guess one last question from you, Karen, and then we'll wrap up this wonderful panel.
Okay, I've got like a really short question. Things I Do for Money, Mr. Sonoda. If you ever do a post-COVID red carpet and you have the Northern Pikes come, can you let me know?
The Northern Pikes did an amazing song, I think 1987,
Yes.
called Things to Do for Money, which became a hit in Canada.
Yes.
And we had the title way before we even knew that we were going to do the movie. Gary and I were batting around an idea for a movie called Things to Do for Money, I think in 2006. Had nothing to do with what it ended up being. Just the title was cool. And when we were putting this together, I had actually directed a music video for Jay Semko for the Northern Pikes in 97 with Nathan Monteith and Jason Jones in it.
Okay.
And so I reached out to Jay and I'm like, listen, I'm making this movie. What do you think? The Pikes have been so supportive and so accommodating. They arranged it through Universal Music for us to use the song, not only in the end credits where the boys perform, but in the Turcotte Pharmacy scene on Kenilworth, talking about streets, Ed. The shootout that happens there, it's the backing soundtrack is Things I Do for Money, and the boys did a great job creating the haunting score to that.
It's so good. Okay, so I just want you to know that I have so many questions. I could just go on. It's been such a pleasure.
Well, you can always call me, just,
Okay,
just call
cool.
me,
That's good.
sis. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. But I also want to know when is the soundtrack coming out? Because I need the soundtrack.
Yes. Well, the movie's out right now, like you said, on iTunes, Apple TV, and all the cable VOD services across Canada. We are going to release not only the soundtrack, but a DVD in Canada, which I hope to be the definitive DVD of this. Maybe there'll be a clip of this on the DVD. You have no idea. We're putting it together right now. But the soundtrack will be in the fall, and the DVD will be like fall, winter, around then.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible. That's so great. Oh my God.
Maybe there might be a moment where Max and Theo perform with the Northern Pikes on stage when we can all go see concerts again safely, right? So
I'm there. Let me know, please. I'll get my- Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has been so fantastic. What a great evening. It's gone by like this. You're all a pleasure to know. Can we do just one more thing, or should we go?
Yeah, sure. One thing for everybody, and let's yeah.
Whenever I do my theater circles, I always ask for one word. I don't know, you probably do that, Claudette and Jen. I want to have one word, if everybody could throw it into the circle. And my question is, what is the heartbeat of this story? What is the heartbeat of the story for you?
Okay, call out the names, Karen.
Okay, Ariel.
Emily.
Emily, nice. Mary.
Just one word, pretty
Yeah,
much?
just one word. Yeah.
I would say connection.
Thank you. Claudette.
Passion.
Good one. Jen.
Family.
Two for family. It's winning. It's in the
Family, yes.
first place.
We're keeping score.
Yeah.
Ed.
Oh, sorry. Intensity.
Intensity. Nice. Max?
Community.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. And Theo.
Ambition.
Cool.
Oh,
And
Claudette, Claudette, did you go?
she did.
Yes. Passion.
Okay. Oh, passion, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Warren.
I will say brothers. Not just Max and Theo. Don't get ahead of yourself, boys. Just because you're on the front cover of a newspaper, it's not always about you. I wrote this with Gary Nolan, who is very much a brother to me, one of my best friends. But I also wrote it and made the movie for my brothers, Ron and Bob. And without them, I could have never gotten into film. They believed me since the very beginning. So the story from this, if you look at it, it's really Max and Theo play Eli and Nick Yaguchi, but Ed and Rhett Morita play two brothers, Tosh and Jimmy, and those intersecting brother stories, really between the two of them, the two storylines, are basically me and my brothers. I'm kind of like the third younger brother, so I kind of traverse, both sides of that. But for me, the movie very much is brothers.
Oh gosh, I have to say that I have had the privilege way, way back when of going to Ding Ho restaurant on Upper James and dining with all three Sonoda brothers. And there is such a special bond. And I see it so much in this film.
Yeah. Well, Ron, my oldest brother came out. He was our set medic every day, and he just really was there to help the cast and any nicks or bruises that happened, and safety and everything. So he was there every day, and Bob was able to come in, and they're always so supportive. So thank you, Ron and Bob, if you're listening right now.
Well, brothers are really special. When I first met Theo and Max, I was just blown away because my two sons are 10 years apart and played guitar. In fact, the older one taught the younger one.
Oh,
initially, yeah. So it was a delight to watch the two of them work together and just to understand, like really understand that whole connection with each other. It was very cool.
And even though the movie, I mean, again, for me, started with this concept of brothers and exploring the theme of brotherhood and having brothers, I do love the fact, and let's look at this Zoom call we're on. There's such a strong. It's just not roles for our women characters, but also the voices and the actions that happen because of what they do in the movie. It was really important. We just didn't want to make a muscular, macho bro movie. We wanted to tell a story about a family, and I think we achieved that. You know, one of the reasons why we wanted to have this panel was to show just how deep the Hamilton acting pool is. And if you look at the screen right now, you could tell a whole bunch of stories, a whole different way. And you know, with Mary at the Creative Theater Company, there's a whole wave of actors that I think are gonna just be acting for, you know, into the 20s, 30s, 40s. I can't believe that that's the way we look at the world now in the timeline. But we're in the 20s now, the roaring 20s of the 2000s, and that was really cool to see, to be able to work with someone like Ariel, who you know, is such a respected and formidable actor that we've all seen, and we've seen the performances. To be able to put a gun in her hand and, you know, have her do something, you know, new, that was really great. And I think Hamilton will only get stronger that way because of the opportunities that are going to be happening. You know, even though we're in COVID, I mean, literally, I was scouting for Murdoch Mysteries in Hamilton, so it's still going to be one of those places where.
Pick me.
Yes, unfortunately, I only have 2 characters that I needed to cast for this, and they were both men. Sorry. Soon though, but yeah, you know, it's like, it's the allure to make and tell stories in Hamilton is not going to go away just because there's a pandemic. In fact, it will become a destination for a lot of people because of the accessibility and just the variety of things that you can shoot and the people that are there to work with.
Agreed. Thank you so much. If you haven't already watched, then you need to. It's available on iTunes, Bell, Cineplex, Kojiko, Rogers, Shaw, Telus, and Vimeo.
Woohoo.
That's so good. That's better than me remembering that list, but thank you.
Great.
Yes. And follow our socials on Instagram, Things to Do Movie, on Facebook, which we're watching right now, which is Things I Do for Money Movie, and Twitter, Things to Do Movie, and look for all these wonderful actors in other productions. I'm sure they're gonna just be lighting up the screens and the stages as things reopen.
And thank you to Zachary.
Yeah, Zachary in the background. We're just wrapping up. Thank you so much. See you, everybody.